Immigration et anxiété identitaire, les origines de la théorie du grand remplacement.
By never replying, right? Just tweet out. That's actually the secret. And then thousands of people follow you. It's really weird, right? But every now and again, people would say something and I'd be like, I just have to reply. And there was maybe about 10 years ago now, this is what prompted the Angrynomics book in part. There's a guy who wrote to me about the so-called great replacement theory. That basically the white working classes are being replaced in all these countries by immigrants, etc. And, I was completely oblivious to this fact and so on and so forth. And, I should admit that it's true, basically. And I thought, let's have a conversation. So I DM'd him and he got online and we actually had a chat. And it was really interesting because I said, okay, so why do you think this is the case? And he says, I'll send you a link. And he sends me a link to a document from the UNDP, the UN Development Programme, that apparently is regarded as the Samizdat for this. This proves that the UN are planning the Great Replacement. And I kind of started to explain the UNDP is this thing that was set up to placate lefties at the UN and nobody pays attention to what they do and so on and so forth. But clearly that wasn't going to work. So I thought, all right, let me try another approach. So I said, look, just think about the following, mate, right? What's an economy? An economy is nothing more than the number of people, the number of hours worked, and the quality and quantity of stuff you do things with. That's it. That's all there is to it. Now, if you don't have enough kids, then obviously you're either going to have to work more hours or you're going to have to do more with that stuff. That's how it works. And across the developed world, for multiplicity of reasons, birth rates have fallen, women are choosing not to have children, families are not being formed in the same way that they used to, and because of this, the birth rate's falling. Now, that means that, if you will, the size of the economy is going to shrink. That means we're all going to get poorer. The only way out of this, particularly with an aging population who expect pensions to be honoured, is if you have immigration. And to me, this is an iron-cast argument. That's it. Like, we stop at that point. And he said, you just don't get it, do you? We're being replaced. A couple of years later, I'm talking to an ITN news presenter called Andrea Calderwood. She's very interesting. She's a Northern Irish woman who went to Southern Ireland for education and over to London and has been on TV for years. And she started to do these television reports on ITN news that got her quite a lot of trouble from sort of the British left. And she's not a sort of right-wing person by any means, but it was the sensitivity of the topic. And it relates back to that conversation because what she was talking about was replacement in a different way. And the first example was this. In many cities and small towns in the north of England, the social hub of the community in many ways are different pubs, public houses, right? That's what you have. And you're dealing with, British culture of a particular class and age segment, which means the pub's absolutely central to their lives. But a couple of things are happening. Number one, remember we didn't have enough kids, right? And then the second one is young people don't drink anymore. No. So what's happening is all the pubs are shutting down. The population that has been coming in tend to be Muslim immigrants. They open up sweet shops. So you have a plethora of sweet shops and no pubs. We're being replaced. Right? Now, another example. Down in England, they play this very strange thing called cricket. You might have heard of it, right? Nobody else. The only other people who play cricket are other people who were colonized by England. It's just like, why would you do this? But anyway, it's a really boring game. But in the south of England, as opposed to the north of England, it performs a very important social function, which is all these little villages scattered around London and places like Buckinghamshire, etc. The cricket club is what everybody joins. And you can be totally crap at cricket. You might never even play it. But you pay £50 and that keeps the social institution going and people meet there, whatever. And when you have weddings, right, you do it at the cricket club. And that means all the money from the village goes to the bar. It basically becomes a kind of like check cashing agency. Everyone gets their social network from it, etc. All the rest of it. That's how it works, right? Guess what starts to happen? Those people begin to age out. You don't have enough young people. They're not playing cricket. Who are playing cricket are the young Asian kids who don't drink. And they're really good at cricket. So what starts to happen is not only do they take over the southern clubs, the financing model begins to shift because they're getting it over the bar no longer works. So they start to get sponsorship on their shirts from local Asian businesses, right? Meanwhile, up in the north, where the funding model is still there, that basically produces crap cricket teams. What we have in the South are elite players on totally different financing models. We're being replaced. My point is, economics is always received through a cultural lens. What we do as economists and political economists, we talk about things like the rate of inflation. And we tell you things like, oh no, we've got the numbers, we've done the numbers on this, it's fine, it's going down. And you go to the supermarket and go, are you crazy? Because what you look at is the price level, and the price level never shifts down. I look at the delta, the rate of change on how much it's going up or how much it's going down. We're looking at the same thing, but we're seeing two different things, just as my interlocutor did when I saw basically a crisis of replication and he saw a crisis of replacement. Now, I think that framing helps us understand grievance in a particular way, and it helps me think about how, as a political economist, I might say something perhaps useful about this issue.
Ce site peut vraiment vous aider à améliorer votre compréhension écrite et orale de l'anglais. Grâce à l'IA, il découpe les phrases en segments faciles à comprendre. Vous pouvez régler la vitesse, mettre en pause ou revenir en arrière pour saisir chaque phrase. Le site propose des traductions dans 20 langues, rendant l'apprentissage plus simple. Il suffit d'entrer en niest.com dans votre navigateur. Essayez-le dès maintenant.